Hi my friends, welcome to my channel. How's everyone doing today? Thanks for hanging out with me today. It's been a few weeks. If you're new here, I'm Zita, and on my channel I share with you a variety of DIYs, thrift store makeovers, upcycles, room makeovers, maybe some home decorating and recipes at times. And if you're new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button and click that notification bell so YouTube will let you know when I post a new video. And don't forget to also follow me over on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and Etsy. So today I'm going to be showing you some Valentine DIYs. And the first DIY here, we're going to be making a double-sided wooden sign. So I'm just going to give the scrap piece of wood here. I have some coats of paint. I'm just going to give it a coat of white on each side first. And on the one side, I'm going to paint it pink, and then on the other side, I'm going to keep it white. And we're going to put two different stencils on each side. So I've painted it pink here, and so this first side I'm going to use this love sign out of the calendar, and I'm just going to go around those letters with some carbon paper. And I have just a stylus there that I'm going to trace around the letters with. And for the O, I'm just going to use a heart stencil that I have. I'm just going to put a heart in there in place of the O. So here I'm just tracing around the letters, and once I get that all done, I'm just going to paint in around those lines that are there. So here's what it looks like after I have the letters traced out. So now I'm just going to paint those in with some red paint here that I'm using, and this is an acrylic paint, and I'll leave a link for anything that I'm using, any of the supplies that I'm using in today's crafts, in the description box. And right here I'm starting on the other side. I designed this stencil that says hugs and kisses, and I designed it on my silhouette cameo, and just cut that out. And now I'm applying the red paint on this side. And if you'd like this stencil, it's available on my Etsy shop, and I'll post that link in my description box. I'm just starting my collection on Etsy. I haven't been on there very long, so I don't have a lot of designs on there yet, but I'll be adding more and more as time goes by, as time lets me design them. And right here I'm just putting some grain sack stripes on the side, just to give it a little bit more on the design. What do you think, guys? Got two signs in one there. That's from a scrap piece of wood, and that's what it looks like after it's all finished. And I did some sanding and distressing on each side as well. So for this next DIY, I'm going to do some floral decoupage on an old wine decanter that I thrifted. And I'm first applying some Fusion Tough Coat there. This is going to help the chalk paint stick to the glass better. So I put 2 coats of Rust-Oleum white linen chalk paint on there. And I'm just cutting out a square of these floral napkins that I had on hand. And I'm going to pull those apart because they're 2-ply. And then I'm just pouring some water in a little container here, and I'm going to use a brush to go around that flower, and then I'm going to pull that apart and apply it to the decanter. So I'm just putting some water on the brush there, and then I'm just going to rip it off. Go around, just be careful when you're ripping it. And I have a little Ziploc bag underneath there, and that's how I'm going to be applying this napkin to the bottle there. So I'm just going to turn that over, and I'm going to apply my Mod Podge to that with a really soft brush here. That's actually a makeup brush that I had, and now I'm using it for Mod Podge instead of for my face. So it doesn't rip the napkin, it's really soft. So if you have some soft makeup brushes, I find they work really well. So I'm just turning that over now and just putting that flower on the jar, just pressing it down lightly with that bag there and just kind of spreading it out. And this way the Mod Podge is not going to go in places where you don't want it to go. It's just on the napkin, and it's not going to be outside the flower, that because it gets kind of shiny and you can kind of see the Mod Podge outside. So now I'm just going over the top with the Mod Podge, and this turned out really, really well. I'm really impressed how this turned out. After it dried, like I couldn't see any Mod Podge on the outside. It just looks like it's a part of the bottle. I was really impressed how this one turned out for me. So I really like that Ziploc bag method. Let me know, guys, what do you think of this? You like the way this turned out? So for this next project, I'm making a drop cloth heart pocket cushion. So first here I'm cutting out some heart shapes on this, a couple of pieces of fabric that I picked up at the sewing shop. Now guys, this is my first time using a sewing machine since I was a child, no kidding. So I practiced on some little hearts before instead of, you know, doing something straight. But yeah, so it actually turned out really, really awesome. So I just cut out 4 hearts here that I'm going to apply to the drop cloth cushion. And but I'm not gonna lie, my first time setting up the sewing machine, I had to go to the sewing shop and get a little lesson on how to thread the sewing machine, because it just looked so complicated to me. I did look on YouTube for some videos, but I just couldn't see exactly what they were doing. It wasn't close enough to the machine. So here my dog is kind of helping me out. He's being nosy and wanting to see what I'm doing there. He's so adorable. So here I'm just measuring out the drop cloth and for the width and the length. Then I just rip it and just cut it at the end. Then I'm just using a piece of chalk here to mark where I want my cushion to be and where I want the pocket seams to be on the back. So here I'm using my new sewing machine that I got for Christmas, and what I did there is I put a line across to make it kind of look like the hearts were hanging on a clothesline. And I'm just using the #1 setting there, stitch setting, and I'm doing a top stitch here around all of the hearts with a red thread, because there's red polka dots and the other heart also has red on it. So it turned out really nice. It wasn't exactly perfect, you know, some of the stitching was a little bit crooked in some areas, but this is my second sewing project. I think it turned out really, really awesome, really awesome. and you'll see at the end. So I'm just going around all of those hearts with my red stitching. As you can see there, in one of the little corners there was a little mistake, but not too bad for my second project. But I did go really slow on some of the stitching. Like, it looks like I'm going fast here because I have the video sped up just for time's sake, but you can go really slow on the stitching. You don't have to, you know, go really fast. So don't be intimidated by sewing machine, guys. If I can do it, you guys can do it. Look at that. My second project. I'm so proud of this. So now I'm just gonna, I've pinned up my cushion and I'm just gonna stitch around the edges here. And just remember to take out your pins before going over that, because it could crack your needle off. So I'm just pulling out each pin as I go. So like I said, you can go slow and just make sure you get it all done properly. So I did both sides, and right there at the end I'm just doing a back stitch so it doesn't unravel on me. So I've stitched on both sides and I'm just pulling the inside out, and then I'm going to put my cushion in there and you'll see how awesome this turned out. I'm really proud of this project, guys. You'll have to let me know in the comments what you think of this. There's a couple little mistakes on there, and I, you know what to do for next time, but I think it is pretty awesome. I'm very proud of it. Like I said, looks like those hearts are hanging on a clothesline there, as you can see. So let me know in the comments, guys. Have you guys picked up a sewing machine lately? Let me know what you think of this project that I did here. I'm really proud of it. So this next project, I'm going to be doing a double-sided book stack. So I have 3 pieces of scrap wood here that I cut into all the same size, and I'm going to paint these 3 different colors. The first one white, the second one pink, and the third one red. And I just painted it on the sides that you would see the book stack. I didn't paint the bottoms. And I gave these 2 coats of paint for each color, just to make sure that wood color wasn't showing through. So here they are all painted up and dried, and this is how I stacked them with the white, red, and pink. So I'm going to use some twine to wrap around them here. And then I also use some red and white baker's twine as well, just to give it some more color. I'm just wrapping that around a bunch of times. And once I have the both twines on there, I'm just going to use some stamps from the Dollar Tree, and you can see them on the table there. They say hugs, so I'm just going to do hugs and kisses, and I'm just going to put some tape on those just to kind of keep them straight. And when you're applying ink to these guys, try not to apply it like really hard, because it does kind of get on the sides. So if you see that happening, just take a little wet cloth and rub around the sides so none of that gets on there. I did have to touch up my blocks in a couple of spots. So right here I'm putting the X and O in between, and I'm using a white ink on these. So I have the black for the hugs and kisses and the white for the X's and O's. And here's the other side. So it kind of shifted the rope to the other side. So if you want to switch it up, and I'm using some rub-on transfer stickers that I found at the Dollar Tree as well. And these say, I'm putting here, "You are loved." And what else did I put on there? Let me see. And I'm just scraping that down, and it's clear around that. So, and these are gold. They did have these in silver as well, which I did pick up as well, but I decided to want to put the gold on there. So I think it says "You are loved" on the top, X's and O's on the bottom, and no, in the middle, and then some hearts on the bottom. So if you get sick of the hugs and kisses on the one side the one day, you can switch it around to the other side with the gold "You are loved" on there. So whatever you're feeling on that day. So this next DIY here, guys, I'm going to be doing a bead garland. I got some wooden beads here that I picked up at the thrift store for like $1 for that bag you see there. And I also picked up some from the Dollar Tree as well. So I'm just keeping the raw wood, and I'm putting some colored beads on here as well. And I do have some frosted pink beads that you'll see here, and I picked these up at the Dollar Tree as well. And I've already made my little tassel here that you see to the side, so I'm going to be attaching that to the end. And I did also put some red and white baker's twine in with the twine here as well, just to give it some more color on the end. And then once I have that tassel applied to the one end, I picked up some black chalkboard hearts from the Dollar Tree as well that you see here, and I'm going to apply that to the other end. I'm absolutely loving these garlands. I'm just using a big plastic needle here to pull that twine through so it doesn't come out. Just giving it a little haircut there on the end to straighten it up, and then applying the heart to the other end. For our next DIY here, guys, I'm going to be making a heart lavender sachet and some stuffed hearts and some wool hearts. Same thing here, just cutting some heart shapes from my heart fabric there that I picked up at the sewing shop. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to run these through the sewing machine as well. And I'm going to put some lavender inside, and you can put these in your clothes drawers or anywhere where you want it to smell really nice. And guys, if I could only get the smell to you through YouTube, it will be awesome, because this lavender and this little heart sachet smell just absolutely beautiful. So again, here I'm kind of going slow around here. It looks like I'm going really fast, but I'm not. So I leave a little opening in my heart here to put the lavender buds in. I'm just using a funnel that I had on hand. So I got those lavender buds in there, and now I'm just closing up the rest of the heart and doing a back stitch so nothing unravels. And this turned out really, really nice compared to the first heart I did. My first little project was a heart, and I can tell you it did not even look near as nice as this. So don't be intimidated by the sewing machine, guys. It takes practice. And for this one here, I had some old pajamas that had hearts on them, so I just cut out some heart shapes for these as well and stuffed them. And I cut these with some pinking shears too, so it kind of looks jagged around the edges. So they turned out really, really nice. What do you think, guys? I think they turned out pretty cool. So there's the stitching on that heart. It looks really nice. The first one I did, not so much, but it's hiding there in the background. And so here I'm using the pinking shears to put some wool on some of the cardboard hearts here. And I find using these pinking shears works really well, because it's like little notches on the hearts that the wool can kind of grab onto. So if you have some of those, I'd suggest using those. So just wrap your wool around there as many times as you want. I wanted all that cardboard to be covered. If you don't, you could paint the cardboard white and then just, you know, leave some showing through. So these are the 2 wool hearts that I did from some wool that I thrifted at the thrift store. Don't they look awesome, guys? I love it. I love the 2 different color pinks as well. And I think I paid 50 cents each for these wools. So that's a quick and simple craft that you could do. So for the, I think this is the last DIY, I'm doing some clay hearts here. So this is some clay I picked up from the dollar store. I thought it was white, but it's kind of brown. So I cut out some heart shapes and let it dry. And I did stamp the word love on my first heart, and I used a straw to put a hole in the middle. And after it was all dried, I did use some chalk paint to paint it, because I wanted it white. I didn't want to leave it this color. So one of the hearts that said love, I painted white, and the other heart I just decoupaged some botanical rice paper that I had laying around, and they both turned out really well. You'll see here in a second. Right here I'm just rolling out the clay with a bottle that I had on hand, and this is a cookie cutter heart that I had on hand. So I'm just, that was a plastic one, so I'm just using that to get my shape. And I'm using those stamps again from the Dollar Tree to spell out the word love. I'm just going to stamp that in there, press those into the clay, and then I'm going to let it dry. So that's what it looks like after a couple of days of drying. Just thought I'd let it sit for a couple of days instead of just one day. So here I'm just using my Rust-Oleum white linen chalk paint to paint it white and make it look a little nicer than the color that it was. Probably would have looked really nice in the pink as well. But I did 3 hearts here. I think I'm just going to be showing you the 2 in the reveal. So yeah, the one I just left white and put some baker's twine on there for so I could hang it someplace if I wanted to. And then the other one there that you see that looks a little crooked still work though. I put the decoupage paper on that, and you'll see that in the end. So this is what it looks like with the Mod Podge on there, guys. So a little glossy and wet. So I let that dry overnight. So that's what it looked like after it was all done. So guys, here's just a recap of everything that we worked on today. I hope all of these projects gave you guys some inspiration to do your own Valentine DIYs, and maybe you'll want to make something like this for yourself. So let me know in the comments which one was your favorite, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button and click the notification bell so YouTube notifies you when I post a new video. And until next time, guys, have an awesome day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.